Hey guys, Slide here. All right, let's get the show on the road. How's everybody doing? We'll give a moment or two for people to join in, and we can start this part 4 of the series of what is going on in the world, in Canada, in Ontario, and specifically in Toronto. So for people that just joining for the first time, or you're going to be watching this recording for the first time, and maybe this will be the first recording you're going to be watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time. So I guess the first thing that I want to discuss is actually, you know what? Let's do something different. I'm going to definitely, anyway, let's just, I want to share something before we start. We can find it quickly, hopefully. If not, then yeah, we'll give a moment for people to join in anyway. So let me know who actually watched the briefings today. Any of the briefings anybody watched, either the federal or the provincial for Ontario, or if anybody watched the briefing specifically for Toronto, because I'm definitely doing my best to stay focused on the discussion and not to get too wound up, but yeah, I guess we're going to talk about it anyway. So, okay. So, what I want to discuss is Toronto specifically. I watched the briefing just shortly before, and that's really the main thing that I want people to understand is I've spent last over a month watching and listening to every single briefing at the federal, provincial, and municipal government, specifically for Toronto, where I'm at. Sometimes the briefings would be even overlapping between the ministers and the doctors, the briefings that the chief medical officer would make. So sometimes I would even listen to one thing playing at the same time and try to pay attention to both. And I do my best to really pay attention to something that might really spark my attention or be alarming for me to hear. And that's what I've been doing for this time in terms of even information that I'm trying to digest my best with all the different data that's out there, to see the sources, to actually read through the information, to understand what's being shared. And I would sometimes have things playing from the previous recordings or whatever, and I would be ciphering for the whole thing. So I really am spending the time to make sure that what I'm sharing has a solid information first. I'm definitely going to share the things that align with my viewpoint. I have no problem with people commenting and whatnot, but I'm not going to go out there and try to search for something that's not aligned with what I believe. So people that sometimes make a comment, why you only share what you believe, or you don't want to pay much to attention. Well, because the thing with life is, if you're going to look for anything, you're going to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something to prove there is a lot of death out there in the world, you will find that proof 100%. I don't know, guys, if you know, but it's the statistical fact that we actually live in the most peaceful time in the history of humanity. Do you know that we actually live in the most peaceful time in the history of humanity? Now, you watching the news, you would be like, are you out of your mind? But it's the fact. If you look at the history of the world, this is the most peaceful time that's been happening. Not even before this COVID, okay? Like last year, whatever. Even with whatever wars and conflicts that's going on, if you look at the history of the world, this is the most peaceful time that we are in. If you watch the news and if you listen to our government, you would really think otherwise. So just even think about that. But yeah, confirmation bias, I get it, 100%. It's a valid point, Dennis. I appreciate you making the comment. So yeah, I'm gonna share what I believe to be true. I'm gonna share the information to strengthen that argument, and that's definitely the case. So let's talk about the briefing for Toronto today, and unpack a little bit what's been going on. I'm going to mention a couple other things that I'm going to be talking on the follow-up conversations as well. Again, I can literally talk like Joe Rogan for the next 3 hours, no problem. I have zero issues talking about all the issues that I can see that taking place, and I can talk about what I see the government is doing wrong, and I can definitely talk about what can be done differently, right? But again, I'll be here for 3 hours. So at today's Toronto briefing, there are a few things that I want to definitely for people to pay attention to, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ontario briefing as well, and then what was mentioned there too. So, first of all, the first information that I guys want you to understand that in Ontario, as of today, we are doing very good in terms of how many new cases are out there in Ontario specifically. So this is the number one positive thing that I want everybody to understand, that we are at the lowest amount of new cases appearing in Ontario. And fine, the officials mentioned that, but at the same time, like literally right the next sentence, what they're saying is like, and we should definitely not ease any of the restrictions. Why not? If we are doing better, if we have actually less cases coming out, I think they said in Ontario it's under 500 the first time from the spike when it happened a few weeks ago in terms of new cases. We are under 500 for the first time in Ontario. And at the same time, they say that we should not ease any restrictions. So let's just unpack that one simple point. I want to really keep things simple, straight, and that everyone can really get and understand and hopefully, at least think about it. So if we have, let's just round up, we have 500 new cases in Ontario. And is it the truth that 96 up to 98% of all cases are mild cases? What does a mild case means is that it does not require hospitalization. Okay, so let's look at the numbers. Let's say we have 500 new cases in Ontario, and let's say 96% are mild cases. Let's give 4% severe enough cases that people would need to go to the hospital. Take a simple calculator. Put 500, okay, and multiply by 4%, because that would be the percentage of people out of 500 in Ontario that would require hospitalization. I know I didn't need the calculator, but I just want to be really trivial about this whole nonsense, because this is how I see it. This is a total nonsense. 20 people will require hospitalization in the whole province of Ontario. 20 new people. Are you kidding me? We don't have enough capacity to manage 20 new people that require hospitalization? Not 20 people dying. They just need help in the hospital getting better. Like, how difficult it is to understand. What kind of medical professional are you supposed to be to give advice to the Premier of Ontario and to the Mayor of Toronto that we are still in a very serious situation, we should be very, vigilant and all that nonsense. Like, guys, 20 new people supposedly, like it's not even the case. I'm just want to make a hypothetical example at the worst end of the numbers. Some people really like statistics and bash me back with some statistics here and there. Well, this is a simple statistic. In Ontario, as of today, we had 500 new cases, actually under, but let's get to 500. And then let's give the full 4%. It's actually less, but let's give full 4% of those people will require hospital attention. That's 20 people. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. So that's one thing I want to discuss about the Ontario part. Both Premier Doug Ford and Mayor of Toronto saying that we are taking direction 100% from chief medical officers of each. There's a chief medical officer for the whole province of Ontario, and there's a chief medical officer, or whatever the term is, I think it's the same, for Toronto, okay? And all the decisions that they're making is based on those people's advice. If you had a chance to watch part 3 that I did yesterday regarding the prediction that was used to implement the current measures and scare the heck out of people how bad and dangerous and contagious and deadly this thing is, which was falsely based, the models was falsely based on hypothetical examples of Italy, which is such an outlier in terms of cases I share it on my wall, guys. You can see there's now studies actually coming out from Italy to show that out of all the deaths that happened in Italy, almost 50%, 48 point whatever, almost half of the deaths in Italy had 3 or more pre-existing conditions. All right? They had such a minute, small number. Again, I'm going to do a separate talk about Italy and outliers and how it was responsible for any level of a government to use the example of Italy in a modeling to predict what's going to happen in Canada. I'm going to do a whole separate Facebook Live about that, because it's a total disgrace. It's a total responsibility for the people to actually do that. And that's how they justify taking this action. So in Toronto, so that's the Ontario, okay? So now in Toronto, we have our Dr. Davila. In the beginning of all this situation, I was really just trying to help people realize that we should go back to normal. Yeah, that's a very, very, very fair comment, okay? And definitely keep the comments coming. If I had a chance to respond to some of them now, I will. If not, I'll respond later. I just want to keep this relatively short, so I'm not going to engage with too much comments, but definitely leave the comments, and if I have something I can address, I will. What is my background? Medical question mark. I am a health and wellness coach for the last 20 years. For people that choose to follow what I'm sharing, even just for you to question the current state, please go ahead. I share enough sources with actual credible medical professors, epidemiologists, etc. on my wall, so you can see the data that backs exactly what I'm trying to share, because I'm spending a lot of time ciphering for all that information. So I know people are not going to take hours and hours and hours searching for the information and then looking for that information, listening for that information, reading the articles, and actually then sharing them. And if you look for the part 3 of my Facebook Live in a comment, I actually even put time stamps for the briefings where I actually talk about it. So I do my best to kind of put things together. So whether you follow my advice or not, whether you follow my information, it's totally up to you. All I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to do my best to present the information to the people. And I believe in the power of the people. I believe in education. I believe that people should take initiative and responsibility for their own health. I heard one of the people that I actually am learning from in terms of what's going on right now. He said a very good thing. He said, health is a privilege and you're going to earn it every day, okay, by your daily actions. So that's what I follow, and a lot of other things. Anyway, I don't want to divert too much from the topic and conversation. I can talk for 3 hours, no problem. So in Ontario briefing today, Dr. Davila, so emotional, right? So they're basically discussing that the same situation. She actually, this is what I want to mention. So she goes and says, and this is why I'm so mad, guys, and this is why I've been yelling on my Facebook the whole last week, and I'm only going to get louder, and I'm only going to get crazier. If you want to call me crazy, I don't care, all right? I am passionate about this 100%, okay? So she literally says, and again, I'm going to do the same thing on this live as I did on the last one. I'm going to copy the link to the whole recording of the briefing from today, and I'm going to timestamp. I'm going to share exactly, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Do it if you want. I do, guys. I really want to be educated about this more than anything else. I don't want to come up here and make accusations without some base, all right? I am spending the time and listening to the governmental officials that's supposed to protect and have the best interest of the people, of the city, of the province, of the country, and they don't. And if I hear that they don't, I'm going to speak up, all right? So she literally goes and says that, we're only going to go back to normal, something like that, she says, when we reach herd immunity or until we have vaccination. So today, medical officer of Toronto on camera, on a briefing for the city, she literally said what? Doug Ford said 2 days ago, no back to normal life until we have vaccination. And what the Prime Minister of Canada last week was saying every single day, except the end of the week, literally for like 4 days straight, every briefing he was doing, literally word for word, he would say, no back to normal life until we have a vaccination. Like, so Dr. Davila, again, so that's what I will say. I don't want to get too personal, but at this point, this is no longer about getting back to normal life. Okay, guys? At this point, for me, I want people that are responsible for horrendous measures that were taken based on horrendous information that was presented, I actually fired. Okay? I want Dr. Davila to be fired. I want the Chief Medical Officer of Ontario fired. And Dr. Tam, it's a whole other conversation, all right? Let's stick to the first levels of the governments first, okay? The Municipal of Toronto and Provincial of Ontario, okay? And we're going to deal with the federal when we deal with the first two, okay? I just want to really address the really crucial parts here, okay? So Dr. Davila said what she said, all right? And then the journalists asked our Mayor of Toronto, there was a few questions there in terms of when we're going to go back to normal life. Oh, by the way, guys, in British Columbia, they're opening the golf courses already because I am following a little bit the developments of British Columbia. If you have not seen, British Columbia is doing one of the best in terms of between the three provinces, the major huge provinces, well, four, British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec, where the majority of the cases are, and we obviously have 11 provinces and territories in Canada, right? But between those four major ones, British Columbia is one of the best in terms of what's going on there, how well they manage the cases, how well they actually managing the long-term care homes where the outbreaks are happening, all right? Do you know, guys, that they actually passed, I think even from the beginning, the structure is a lot more governmental run in British Columbia. And as I mentioned yesterday on my live, in Ontario, it's been deregulated for a long time. Oh, by the way, yesterday, one of my friends shared a letter from the Mayor of Toronto to the provincial government, which at the time was already elected as Doug Ford, where they expressed huge concern with the provincial Ontario budget, where there was a hidden clause that would subtract almost $1 billion in funding to the city of Toronto. And guess which one of the three things would be affected? Getting tests for viruses. Like, I'm not joking, you guys. Like, there's an official letter from our Mayor of Toronto to the provincial government from last year where they're discussing that there's a huge concern that there is defunding into the healthcare, and that's exactly what I discussed yesterday. A huge defunding to the healthcare, and you're going to come here and on these briefings and you're going to say that, you care about the people. Like I said yesterday, don't make me a part of the Ford Nation. I can have a respect for Dr. Ford doing his best to manage in the situation right now, but I was never supportive of him. I was always vocal about, his defunding of the healthcare, his defunding of the education system, and all that stuff. Again, I want to keep it straight, more or less, with few variations here and there, but like, so mad. I can definitely see how those doctors that a lot of people like to bash and whatever, like once you really start digging into all this nonsense, guys, like literally was doing briefing before coming, like trying to breathe to slow down before coming on, because like it's insane, like what's going on, like how these people can be in a position and can say that they are actually protecting and their concern is the public health. And those are the policies and directions they've taken. It's all disgrace. So anyway, back to the Toronto conversation and the briefing that happened. So at the end, the journalists keep asking the Mayor of Toronto, first of all, can you at least give us at least some guidelines? What kind of measures are you going to be taking when we actually going to be opening up? Because guess what, guys? They've been talking since last week already about 3 months lockdown. They're literally talking about how much deficit budget Toronto will have after 12 weeks of lockdown. They talked about it last week. So anyone that thinks that this government of this city of Toronto is actually planning on letting people out anytime soon, I have unfortunate news for you. And this is why we have to speak up. And this is why we have to rise up and express our sincere concern and disagreement with what's going on. And they're gonna try to justify, oh, we're trying to protect you, or they're gonna try to justify, you know, we don't want to cause any more harm and whatever. And I'm gonna do a separate briefing that they do the briefing. I'll do a separate Facebook Live to really discuss that this is a real virus. However, it's not as bad as they're trying to make it. It's not as contagious and it's not as deadly. And again, if you don't believe me, there's a study from I think Bloomberg website shared, I think from Stratford. Anyway, in the States, they did a study on California, on the whole state of California, where they were testing for the antibodies. They were testing for the antibodies, and guess what they found? They found that the majority of population of California already had the virus, and they just recovered naturally. And guess what? They have the immunity, and the virus is fine. The mortality rate actually from this virus, according to the study, is less than 1%. The mortality from this virus, according to the study, is less than 0.5%. So yes, I'm sorry, this virus is not as flu. It's actually less dangerous. This virus is less dangerous. Whoever has access to Dr. Davila, please copy and paste the link to my thing, all right? I would love to talk to her. And yes, I'm not a medical professional, all right? I don't have to be a medical professional to be able to decipher for basic information. And the actions that you've taken is a disgrace, and you should be fired. Not even after we over this person should be fired right now. And I don't care who Mayor Tory is going to put back on. And guess what? If Mayor Tory is not willing to listen to the people that are awake and actually able to assess the basic information, then he needs to resign as well. All right? So, Mogzan, I appreciate your opinion. Definitely. You can take yourself off from my Facebook. I have no problem. I'm doing my best to connect with the people that are lying. There is a lot of out there people like us that understand that this is a completely responsible measurements of the government that are being taken. People are suffering inside. One of the topics that I'm going to discuss on a Facebook Live would be psychological and physical damage to the kids from this lockdown. Did anyone think about future ramifications to the next generation from this lockdown? Trust me, I definitely want to protect and save the elderly population. I consider this, what's happening right now, is specifically in long-term care homes, is a genocide of the elderly people. Because the government was completely responsible to take all the necessary measurements from the very beginning to protect the risk population. The elderly people in long-term care homes, the homeless people, all right, and prisons. Those are the three groups that should have been protected from the very beginning, not the whole country. All the resources, again, watch my part 3 yesterday I did, a simple example how based on the model that was presented to Doug Ford, the resources were all put into the hospitals because they were expecting a huge surge in the hospital visits. So the Doug Ford didn't even have enough resources to put into the long-term care homes. And that's why, one of the reasons why so many outbreaks are happening right there. Do you guys know that I think it's almost half, don't have a right number again, I'm just doing my best to manage the information, but half of the deaths, even in Ontario, are coming from long-term care homes specifically. So whatever death rate is in Ontario, take it by half, and that could have been easily prevented if people were properly protected in long-term care homes. All right? So where are we at right now? So I'm at about 25 minutes more or less of this conversation. I can definitely see that I'm looking like a mad person. Again, I can definitely relate now to people who are very passionate on YouTube videos. I shared some of those people, and I can definitely see how those people can come across as crazy, because when you really dive into all this situation, you can get very upset. You can get very upset, very mad, and that's the case. So, okay, guys, I think I made a few points that I wanted to make. I will put a comments into this video from the briefing of Ontario, of Toronto specifically, and then if there's anything else. For people that follow my account, great. I definitely appreciate all the feedback you can give me. I definitely need help. If somebody can help me search some resources or whatnot, a lot of people are already sending me supportive messages. Thank you so much. A lot of people are sending me different resources that they think valuable for me to share. I know a lot of people not comfortable to be at the front. I know a lot of people are not comfortable to voice the huge concern that exists out there. I know a lot of people are not comfortable to like or even comment on my things that I'm doing. I see you guys. I see you. I know there are a lot of people out there. I am on all the briefings. I'm making comments on all the briefings, on the federal, on the provincial, and the municipal. I'm making the comments there. Whoever sees my comments and they actually agree with what I'm trying to say or how loud I am about the current situation, you know, I'm adding those people because I definitely know there are a lot of people out there and they maybe think they're by themselves. Like, can you imagine you sitting by yourself alone and you think that you're only one that has this crazy idea that the government is actually doing something wrong? Like, no, you guys, you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there. Know it. If you align with my belief, if you align with the truth that I'm sharing, it is my truth. I don't impose it on people. However, I know there's a lot of people out there and we need to come together. So the last thing that I want to mention is today at the Toronto briefing, Mayor Tory said that they are closing High Park. The High Park is going to be closed because, of course, cherry blossoms are going to be happening. And to me, that's irresponsible and unacceptable. Because the other thing that all the briefings medical officers say, which is exactly the point, that this virus spreads in a closed environment. This virus spreads when you actually see it inside. All right? I actually took screenshots of the interview that Mayor Tory was doing with somebody else. And it says right there that he says that Dr. Davila, the medical officer for Toronto, she says that when you pass in the people on the streets, there's very small or no chance of you actually getting infected. And then at the same time, she goes again and says, no, everybody should sit at home. So the last thing that Tory said right before they finished the conference is that there's going to be a virtual broadcast of cherry blossoms, and everyone should be enjoying the virtual world that we created for you. Like, if anyone not really concerned about what's being pushed on us, and they're saying now, guys, they're saying this is the new normal, okay? They're saying that we should accept the virtual world out there. They're saying that our kids should stay at home and play video games. If you don't think that should be the case, then you need to speak up, or at least send me quietly, privately, whatever messages you have, and I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to be creating a YouTube account. I'm going to be creating a special page for all this stuff because I know how things get out there, all right? And actually, I need a couple of help. I need whoever's the technical and can help me out to set up the things and upload the stuff and all that things. Please send me a private message. I really appreciate whatever help I can get. I'm doing my best, ciphering for all the information, what's going on. I'm doing my best to listen to all the briefings daily. So then when I come here, I actually talk about what's going on. I'm not just hypothetically trying to accuse somebody or whatever. But to summarize, the Dr. Davila must be fired. Whatever the name is of the medical officer of Ontario must be fired. The people that created the models, they have to go because they were responsible providing the information, completely inflated, unnecessary information, trying to scare people on a daily basis. It's a disgrace. All right. So if you find value in this video, please share it with people. Share it privately if you don't feel comfortable. Please share it publicly if you feel okay with it. If you need help with some resources, just scroll down from my profile. I know there's a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. We need to take responsibility for our health. We need to take responsibility for the education that we can get ourselves. We should question things that not aligned with our beliefs. If someone doesn't look healthy, if someone doesn't represent the health, maybe you should question what they say. Create a mailing list. Yes, I'm going to create a mailing list again. I'm going to set up the website, going to set up a YouTube channel, going to set up the Facebook page and Instagram, all the stuff, because everything has to be centralized. I know there's a lot of people out there in Canada. I know people are protesting. There's already a petition from Homeless Committee of how whatever measurements of the governments are being taken right now is actually infringing on a Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And the first broadcast when I did this, part 1, was actually on the anniversary of the Charters of Canada of Rights and Freedoms. Okay, the part 1 was done on that day. Coincidence? Maybe not. As every day goes on, this things like it looks like all was very aligned, and that's it. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I won't be able to do a live tomorrow nor Thursday. Next live will be on Friday. I'm going to stick to this schedule. It's going to be every day on the days when I'm able to do this at 5:55 p.m. Toronto time. I have a lot to share. It would be interesting for me not to be able to come up here now and actually express my concern and all the information that I have available. But I'll do my best to do whatever else. But definitely stay tuned. Pay attention, guys. Stay healthy more than anything. The last thing I want to say, and I'm definitely going to wrap it up. I want to apologize to people for whom my posts create more anxiety, guys. I definitely can understand the things that I can share can add to your anxiety. And if that's the case, I am sorry. I am actually sorry, because I understand the mental challenges that people are facing being stuck at home. All right? And at the same time, I am crystal clear, guys. If we don't get loud, if we don't create resistance, this thing is only going to continue going down, spiraling down, because I can see the signs. Like, whatever you want to call this, listening to Prime Minister of Canada last week for 4 days straight talking about vaccines, no normal life until vaccines, and then a few days after that, hearing Doug Ford saying exactly the same thing, and today, Chief Medical Officer of Toronto saying exactly the same thing. Can't you see? Guys, I'm sorry, it's federal government first, then provincial level first, then municipal first. Like, they even use the same chain of indoctrinating the information into the people. Like, how obvious do you have to get? Thank you, Simon. I appreciate you. I love you. Hope to see you soon when this whole mess is over. Oh my God. Okay, guys. Love you all. Stay healthy. Stay blessed. We'll see you on Friday at 5:55 Toronto time. In the meantime, stay tuned to my profile, the things that I'll be sharing, and definitely let me know if you know anyone that either can help me with the technical side of this, as well as I actually need access to some journalists, because obviously I'm not able to ask those uncomfortable questions to the people. I'm not able to ask these uncomfortable questions to Trudeau or Doug Ford or Tory, right? So whoever has connections to some journalist who I can talk to and request specific questions being asked, and if that journalist is comfortable asking those questions, I need your help, guys, because somebody has to put these people at check, all right? Because they're not taking us seriously. They can think they can just do whatever they want, and this is Canada. For now, we have some rights and freedoms still, very little right now, sitting at home, but we gotta rise up, guys. Okay, so stay tuned for development. This is an ongoing story, and I am committed to see this through. Love you all.